Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to welcome you to today's commencement ceremony. I now invite those of you that are able to please rise for the processional as we welcome the Dunwoody College of Technology class of 2017. Please welcome representatives of Dunwoody's Board of Trustees. They are accompanied by today's keynote speaker and student speaker, as well as Dunwoody's Provost, Vice Provost, Dean of Students, Associate Dean of Students, and members of the President's Cabinet. We also welcome our academic deans and managers. Now joining us are members of Dunwoody's 50-year club, alumni who graduated a half a century ago. The alumni are followed by members of Dunwoody's faculty. Now entering the auditorium, led by our faculty marshals, the fall, spring, and summer semester graduates of the class of 2017. Please welcome the graduates from the Applied Management, including Applied Management and Leadership, and those who graduated with a concentration in Management Information Systems. Now entering the auditorium are graduates of our automotive programs, including the Automotive Collision Repair and Refinishing, Automotive Service Technology, Automotive Technician Apprenticeship, Honda Professional Auto Career Training, Mopar Career Automotive Program, and Toyota's Technician Training and Education Network. Next, entering the auditorium are the Computer Technology Department grads. These are students graduating from Computer Networking Systems, Computer Networking Technician, Computer Systems Analysis, Web Development and Web Programming, and Database Development. Now entering the auditorium are graduates from the Construction Sciences and Building Technology programs, which include Architectural Drafting and Design, Construction Management, Construction Project Management, Electrical Construction and Maintenance, Electrical Construction Design and Management, Heating and Air Conditioning Engineering Technology, HVAC installation and residential service, HVAC system servicing, interior design, land surveying, and surveying and civil engineering technology. Next up is the Design and Graphics Technology program, including Design and Graphics Technology department, including graduates from the Graphic Design and from the Pre-Media Technologies program. Please welcome the graduates from the Health Sciences and Technology program, all of whom have earned a degree in radiological technology. Now entering the auditorium are the graduates from the Robotics and Manufacturing, which includes graduates from Automated Systems and Robotics, Electronics Engineering Technology, Electronics Technology, Engineering Drafting and Design, Industrial Controls and Robotics, Industrial Engineering Technology, Machine Tool Technology, Right Skills Now for Manufacturing, Welding and Metal Fabrication, and Welding Technology. And now entering the auditorium are graduates from Workforce Training and Continuing Education, including the Bueller Apprenticeship Program, Customer Service Engineering, floor installation for residential carpet, and welding specialist program. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2017. Congratulations, class of 2017. While we're standing, I now invite Peggy Quam and Zach Mans to join us and sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Coming off the national anthem like that, I think it's appropriate that we recognize the men and women who have served or who are currently serving our country. So if you're a vet or you're currently serving our nation, please stand to be recognized. Thank you for your service. I'm now pleased to introduce to you our student speaker for today's commencement, Danny Treat. Danny is a graduate of the Engineering, Drafting, and Design program. He spent time in New Orleans helping rebuild homes in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. He eventually moved to Minnesota and found his way to Dunwoody, where he saw the value of a hands-on approach to learning. After completing his internship with Proto Labs, Treat will start a new position as a drafter for Daikin, one of the world's leading air conditioning manufacturers. Please welcome Danny Treat.
Good morning and welcome. Greetings and congratulations to the graduating class of 2017 and all of your friends and family whose support has helped make today a reality. My name is Danny Treat, and I am an Engineering, Drafting, and Design graduate. First of all, I would like to thank President Rich Wagner and the faculty and staff of Dunwoody who has made today possible. For me, the road to Dunwoody has been anything but straightforward. Like some of us here, growing up, school was the last thing on my mind. With plenty of hobbies like biking, surfing, and cars to fill my time, getting good grades was not a priority. Not surprisingly, this led to me having to change schools essentially to avoid being kicked out. My parents enrolled me in a small charter school, and with smaller classes and more teacher interaction, I was able to graduate. Over the next year, I bounced around at a couple of community colleges, trying a variety of classes, everything from sound engineering to welding. And while I stuck with some longer than others, ultimately I didn't find a way or ones that held my attention for more than a month or two. I started working full-time after deciding to step away from school for a bit, and at the same time started exploring volunteering options. With the help of my mom, I found a program in New Orleans doing rehab construction after Hurricane Katrina. It was a good option for me. I could learn new skills, get out of my comfort zone, all while helping people in need. My initial 3-month stint turned into 3 years, during which I learned many aspects of the construction trades and learned how to manage and lead volunteer groups. At the end of my second AmeriCorps term, I decided that I would try school again, and I enrolled at the University of New Orleans. I had much better success the first year I was there, but ultimately it was the same as my other college experiences. I grew tired of the curriculum and the lack of hands-on learning. I went back to working at a nonprofit as a crew leader and teaching the trades to local guys earning their GEDs. Around that time, I met my now fiancée, Casey. We did long distance for a year while she earned her teaching credentials at the University of Minnesota. After moving up to Minnesota and working for a bit, I started looking for other options. And one day, while at Casey's house, her parents suggested I check out Dunwoody. I knew the school, I drove by it every day on my way home from work, and decided to drop in. As soon as I walked in the door, I realized it was a different kind of school than I had ever been in. Every floor had something different to offer, and there was an abundance of tools and machines that I had never seen before. I walked the whole school on my first tour, but spent most of the time around the 3D printers and engineering classrooms. I spent the next 2 weeks pouring through the Dunwoody catalog, trying to figure out what program I should go with. I decided on engineering, drafting, and design because it combines hands-on learning, problem solving, and the chance to use my creativity to design parts and products. The first semester was a revelation. Dunwoody had a feel that I had never got from another college. There was a sense of purpose in the air and professionalism in the classrooms. I could tell that you could get more than a diploma from Dunwoody. You could get a career. My first semester went well, and I was prepared to dig into the core of my program when fall came around. In engineering, drafting, and design, you start on the machine shop floor, learning manufacturing processes and how the products and tools that I designed would be made. One of the first things that struck me was how all the instructors had industry experience. Not only could they teach you the concepts, they were able to give you the background and reasoning behind them. The lessons were always filled with projects and hands-on activity, and I wasn't just lectured and talked at, I was immersed in the lesson. I felt encouraged and comfortable asking my instructors questions, always getting detailed answers and making sure that I really understood the concepts. It was at this time that I started realizing that's what I had been missing before. Sure, I had taken classes where we used our hands, but I never had any that blended the hands-on experience and the concepts and backgrounds like Dunwoody did. I also felt that for the first time, I was around other students that had the same life experiences as me, and were also trying to find not just a job, but a career. I was lucky enough to find a core group of friends that supported me and pushed me to challenge myself in school and outside of it. Being able to have a group to bounce ideas off of and help with concepts was instrumental in allowing me to be as successful as I was at Dunwoody. Dunwoody isn't easy by any means. They demand a lot of their students. Classes 5 times a week for 5 hours a day, plus homework, is pretty much a full-time job. But if you're prepared to put in the work, you also get so much more out of it. I think we have come to realize how much weight the Dunwoody name carries. Most people we have come in contact with have heard of Dunwoody, and the majority of them seem to know somebody successful that has graduated from here. The lessons taught and learned aren't just ones for the classroom either. The determination and perseverance that it takes to complete a degree doesn't only apply to your career, those are skills that you will use for life. As we move forward in our lives and careers, we can lean on our Dunwoody experience with confidence and know we are well equipped to handle any situation. And remember, sometimes you find what you are supposed to be doing by doing the things you are not supposed to do. I wouldn't have been able to get where I am today without the support of many people. My parents, Casey, Section 3, all of the instructors from engineering, drafting, and design, and the always helpful staff and faculty at Dunwoody. Congratulations to the class of 2017, and best wishes with all of your future endeavors.
Thank you, Danny. You represent the other graduates well, and we wish you the best in your immediate job and great career. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Will Steger. Mr. Steger is an environmentalist, author, educator, and explorer who has led some of the most significant polar expeditions in history. In 1996, he became the National Geographic Society's first explorer in residence. He is the founder of 2 nonprofits, the Will Steger Wilderness Center in Ely, Minnesota, dedicated to innovation and leadership in a wilderness setting, and Climate Generation, a Will Steger legacy headquartered in Minneapolis with a focus on educating educators, youth, and communities in solutions to climate change. Over the past 2 years, he has worked with Dunwoody's architectural students and faculty on an exciting project at the Wilderness Center that has helped them better understand the intersection of the build and wild environments. We're pleased to have him with us today, ladies and gentlemen. Help me welcome Mr. Will Steger.
Yep. Thank you for the introduction and congratulations. Job well done. Not an easy thing getting a degree, is it? Here, a lot of work. It's definitely a team effort. As you see, we have, 350 graduates. We have probably close to 2,000 people here. So there's a lot of work with families and support from husbands, wives, significant others. And you're really on a great trajectory right now with this degree, right now at this time that we're in. I was asked in the hallway, what's your connection to Dunwoody? And it's definitely hands-on. I mean, I'm a hands-on person. It's the application. It's using what you learn and applying that in a constructive way. But also, Dunwoody's form of education is my type of education. It's really hands-on, it's mentorship, it's that one-to-one, working with great teachers, collaborating as a team in your classrooms. It's a remarkable school, Dunwoody. And it's also a great honor to be here. I'm going to talk a couple things. I want to first talk a little bit of where I came from, and then particularly I want to talk about the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. And I want to pass on a few things that I've learned along the way that have really helped me out. Myself, I was really lucky because of my parents. Parents were born right before the war, World War II. My dad fought in the South Pacific, came back, started his own job, his own company. He had raised his nine kids on his ideas, and we were given as kids pretty much total freedom. As a result, I didn't see barriers. I mean, the rules were we had to get a certain grade point average or we were grounded. We had to stay out of trouble with the law. And if we wanted to do something, we had to pay for it ourselves, and the rest was pretty much, what we wanted to do. I was a normal kid. I never saw myself any better than anyone else. I had learning disabilities in grammar, math, and spelling. I'm left-handed, maybe that's part of it, but these disabilities were tough. The school was not easy for me, but I also felt that the extra challenge was really good for me because I really had to work hard and really had to stick to it. Yeah, grades did not come easy. And as a child, I was fortunate too because I always had a vocation for education. I knew where I was going to go. I never had to question what I would do with my life, although I didn't see myself as a classroom teacher necessary. And I had a couple dreams. One was living in the wilderness. That was what I really wanted to do. And of course, expeditions, all this around the wilderness. I worked my way through high school and college. I went to Benilde High School out here in St. Louis Park, University of St. Thomas. My plan was to stick it out here in the city for 25 years to get all my credentials and then move to the wilderness. After I graduated, I taught school for 3 years to get teaching experience in Richfield, junior high science. And at that time, I was a night student at the University of St. Thomas. I worked on my master's degree. During my schooling from 15 to 25, I was involved with pretty major expeditions. When I was 17, I kayaked up the Inside Passage of Alaska with a friend, crossed the mountains, got into the headwaters of the Yukon River, and kayaked down to the Arctic Circle. I met some of the old-timers from the gold rush of 1898. In the 20s, when I was 20, I did first ascents in the Peruvian Andes. I had this passion for climbing. I liked heights, and I really wanted to get into glaciated areas. And this is where I charted a little bit different course than my peers. It was on the walls when I climbed that I really met what I called my edge. I met that point where I had to be at my very best, or else I wouldn't be around anymore. I would have to be at my best, not just physically, mentally, spiritually. And on that edge, I really afterwards, although sometimes it was utter terror, I really wanted more of it. I knew the way towards that was through skills, was through learning, getting the learning experience. When I was 19, I did a 3,000-mile kayak trip from the Southern Canadian Rockies to Arctic Ocean back south, and that was a coming of age for me. After that, at 19, I bought land, wilderness land, 3 miles from the nearest road in Ely, and this is where I live today and where we've been working together with Dunwoody. 1970, then, when I was 25, I moved to the wilderness on plan and started what I call a self-reliant, self-sufficient life. Again, off the grid, off the road, 2 lakes from the nearest road. I built a cabin, built a sauna. I was from the suburbs. I didn't have any skills at all. In our family, you couldn't find a hammer or a screwdriver. I didn't have the great education you had, hands-on, but I learned. And I cleared land by hand, raised most of my food, built up a community, had an ice house, root cellar, workshop, built that up. And then I started a dog sledding and skiing school in the winter to support myself. And it was through that, through the sled dogs, reopened up my career to the polar regions. I branched off in the 80s on very long expeditions. Ended up doing the North Pole in 1986, made my first mark there. And the rest is history. I've been traveling in the polar regions for almost 50 years now. The first 50 years, first 25 years prior to 1990, the climate was pretty much normal. It was very cold in the polar regions. There's variation always in climate, but it was a stable climate. But then in 1990 was actually the tipping point. 1990, the carbon dioxide level rose above 350 parts per million, and the scientists predicted when we got 300 parts per million, the ice would start melting on the globe. And the last 25 years, I've been on that ice when it's melting. And I've seen this firsthand. Every ice shelf that I've traveled on in both Antarctica and the Arctic have disintegrated. You no longer can make the North Pole. I was the last dog sled expedition to the pole. You can't reach the North Pole anymore from the land because the Arctic Ocean is breaking up. I mean, it's really quite remarkable. 2002, the Larsen ice shelf, size of Wisconsin, broke up. We crossed that a couple years before that. It took us 15 days to cross that. And I remember reading in like the 9th page of the Tribune, you know, Larsen B ice shelf breaks up. That was my call to action. I moved to the city at that time and committed my life to working towards the solutions of climate change and education. And thank you. But, you know, there's always the cliche of an older guy, older person talking, passing the baton. You know, that's an easy way around, I think. But, you know, humankind right now is on that edge. It's no baloney. We are on this edge here of this incredible changing, quickly changing world. And we as a humankind, we have to be at our very best. We have to be at our very best physically, mentally, spiritually, educationally. And, you know, we're not living in a fantasy land. You can't deny what's happening away. In fact, denying the reality of what's happening is really irresponsible for our younger people. We need, and it's not a political statement, by the way. We have great challenges that we're facing, and we really have to be realistic at looking at these challenges. And at the same time, there's incredible opportunities, and many of you, most of you, are going to be beneficiary of that. I always looked at the solution to climate change as being economic. I always faced it that way. Because sometimes you can agree to disagree on is climate real or not, but real jobs are real. When you have real jobs, you have a constituency. I saw that to bring down the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and now presently to start adapting to the changes, we're going to do that by creating jobs. The clean energy sector in Minnesota, for example, we have $1 billion industry right now. 6 years ago, we had nothing. And that's just the beginning of it for Minnesota. In the United States here, we have enough solar jobs. Our solar jobs are equivalent to the amount of jobs that are in natural gas. Solar is like this little infant. Solar doesn't know how to crawl yet. Already, it's out competing natural gas. Wind is way ahead in jobs, way ahead than coal. And it's going to be another about 4 more years that this clean energy sector in terms of jobs is going to surpass fossil fuel industry, and then from there it's going to really boom. The great thing is the infrastructure, and that's where most of you are going to be employed. The infrastructure as we know it is obsolete. With the changing climate and the new technologies, we have to build newer, smarter, more efficient, more resilient infrastructure. All of it has to be replaced. That's how we're going to adapt, and that's how we're going to be efficient and bring down the cost of everything. And these are where the great jobs are. And this is where you really have a leg up on the academic world. Academics are very important, but it's always hard to find a job when you have a history degree. But when you applied like you have, you can move immediately into good jobs. And there's good jobs now at hand, and there's going to be more jobs. You're at the right place at the right time with the diploma that you're going to be in your hand here in a few minutes. You're part of the solution, and you're being part of the solution by having purposeful, good-paying jobs. On the personal level, I always get the question, what do I do? As an individual facing overwhelming odds and challenges, it's sometimes easy to falter. But there's a couple of things I really want to pass on to you that's been real important to me. For one, your thoughts, what you think, your thoughts have energy. And how you direct those thoughts, in most way, it's going to determine your destiny. And there's 2 choices you make, positive or negative. And both of these, like energy, attracts. Negative energy, of course, we see a lot of it around us. You just turn on the radio. There's negative energy right there. And that negative energy is it is addictive. It draws more. What do you feel when you're negative? Well, you kind of feel down. And then the other choice is positive. What does positive energy feel? It feels good. It's constructive. It's creative. I mean, I go into some of Dunwoody's classrooms, and that's what I see. I see a classroom working as a team, collaborating, getting to places where you can't get just as an individual. You're collaborating back and forth. This is this energy that attracts. As a kid, I was smart enough to see this because I tried to surround myself with the most positive energy. Your mind is like a seed, and the way you prepare that soil for the seed is how your mind and how yourself and how your happiness and how your relationships are going to build. I went out of my way. When you're a young kid in school, you don't always have choices because you're stuck in with a lot of other negative people sometimes, a lot of positive people, but as you get older, you have choices and you start surrounding yourself with good people. When I was most of your age, 25, 26 or so, I had the big questions, where do you go when you die, what spiritual life, and what do I do? But I realized my conclusion was that I was just going to live a life of goodness. I was going to choose goodness, and I knew goodness because you feel it. When you're not good, you feel that too. And I let this heart, the heart was which you guide yourself, I let that guide me. When you first start out when you're young, the path of goodness, sometimes it's a little longer path, but within a short period of time, things will start coming to you. And the earth, the life comes to you by choosing this and to being this type of person. And through your life experiences then, as you grow older, it's almost a natural evolution. The right things will come to you at the right time. When you're 40, you start evolving more and so forth. And a lot of these answers and things that you're questioning when you're young will just come to you. I always live my life like a Howell Reed. I let my experiences go through. I experience them to the hilt in the moment, and I let go of them. Even the good ones. I didn't go back and start thinking, but they were part of me. The worst thing you could probably do is guilt yourself. Because you know when you're doing wrong, And if you do wrong, what I've always done is I look at it. I live in it. I live in it not forever, but I live in it usually for a short period of time. It becomes part of me, the mistake I made, and then I let it go. And I correct anything I have to do. These are very important things. Not just getting a good job, it's who you are as a human being. That's how your first step in correcting the world. The second part is, again, we live in a society, we live in a community. And community and being part of something positive, and jobs, and that is really a cool thing. And that's where the solutions lie. It's lie in surrounding yourself with good influence. Because you as an individual, by choosing your influence and drawing influence to yourself, you have a tremendous amount of power. You can correct an incredible number of things. So, the world's is right here. It's there for you. And also, I'm going to conclude here that when you pick up this certificate here, the baton is now passed to you, because for most of your schooling, you've been taught and you've been mentored and you've had incredible teachers. And those are teachers, of course, you're attracted to, and that's how I got through school, is through my teachers. So now the baton is passed to you. You now are the teachers and the mentors and the example setters. The example setters setting, first of all, in your thoughts and how you choose that. So I want to just congratulate you for the hard work that's taken to get this far, and also to the great jobs you're going to have. And the world needs this. We need more education like this. Actually, a lot of the engineering degrees, a lot of these degrees, it's hard filling it with, right now. There's such a huge demand. So you're there, and you're part of the solution. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. Thank you for your message, and thank you for your passion, and thank you for your work. We now want to recognize some of our student accomplishments from the class of 2017. Dunwoody's Alumni Association recognizes the importance of attendance in the world of work and believes that regular and reliable attendance is an essential part of developing good work habits and should always be a cornerstone of Dunwoody's educational model. As such, Dunwoody's Alumni Association established the Alumni Attendance Award. To qualify for these awards, students must attend 98% or more of their class session during their entire Dunwoody career. I'm proud to present the Alumni Attendance Award winners. Would those students who receive the Alumni Attendance Award please stand to be recognized? Please be seated. We recognize students that achieve outstanding grade point averages through Latin honors. Cum laude recognizes students with a grade point average of 3.5 to 3.69, magna cum laude for GPAs of 3.7 to 3.89, and summa cum laude for students that achieve a grade point average of 3.9 or higher on a 4-point scale. Would all those students who are graduating with Latin honors please stand? Congratulations on your outstanding academic performance. You may be seated. Would the Phi Theta Kappa members please stand? Phi Theta Kappa is the International Honor Society for two-year colleges. Membership in Phi Theta Kappa requires members to maintain a 3.5 grade point average, and members are expected to develop leadership skills and engage in community service. Congratulations on your commitment to the tenets of Phi Theta Kappa. Will the students who receive the Academic Excellence or Student Leadership Awards please stand? Congratulations on your demonstrated excellence and commitment to academic achievement. Congratulations, you may be seated. We also want to recognize any alumni who are here with us today. We know that some of our current students have family members and friends who attended Dunwoody. So if you're a graduate of Dunwoody, please stand so we can recognize you. Please be seated.
Will the faculty of Dunwoody College of Technology please stand and remain standing throughout the conferring of the degrees? We will first award the certificates. Will the certificate candidates please stand and remain standing? The certificate candidates, please stand and remain standing. President Wagner, these candidates for graduation have been approved by the faculty and have met or are about to meet all of the requirements so that they may be awarded a certificate or certificate of completion.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Dunwoody College of Technology, and under authority granted by the Minnesota Office of Higher Education and the Higher Learning Commission, and upon completion of the required curriculum under the direction of Dunwoody faculty, I now confer upon you the certificate or certificate of completion listed in the commencement program and all the privileges and obligations pertaining thereto.
Certificate candidate graduates, you may be seated. Will the candidates for the Associate of Applied Science degree please stand and remain standing? President Wagner, these candidates for graduation have been approved by the faculty and have met or are about to meet all of the requirements so they may be awarded their associate's degree.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Dunwoody College of Technology, and under authority granted by the Minnesota Office of Higher Education and the Higher Learning Commission, and upon completion of the required curriculum under the direction of Dunwoody faculty, I now confer upon you the Associate in Applied Science degree listed in the commencement program, and with that degree, all the privileges and obligations pertaining thereto.
Associate degrees, you may be seated. Will the bachelor's degree candidates please stand and remain standing? President Wagner, these candidates for graduation have been approved by the faculty and have met or are about to meet all of the requirements so they may be awarded their Bachelor of Science degree.
On behalf of the Board of Trustees of Dunwoody College of Technology, and under authority granted by the Minnesota Office of Higher Education and the Higher Learning Commission, and upon completion of the required curriculum under the direction of Dunwoody faculty, I now confer upon you the Bachelor of Science degree listed in the commencement program, and with that degree, all the privileges and obligations pertaining thereto.
Faculty and graduates, you may be seated. We will now award the diplomas.
All right, our first graduate to receive his degree is our student speaker, Daniel James Treat, Engineering, Drafting, and Design. And now the graduates from Applied Management and Leadership, Aaron Jean Benson. Waldo Vega de Luna. Jamie Raymond Dulaban. Scott David Layton. Sylvester Rocky Pananavam. Michael Thomas Williams. Now the graduates from Applied Management with a MIS concentration, John Paul Anderson. Alan J. Cole. Craig W. Gorman. Now the graduates from Automotive Collision Repair and Refinishing, Abdisa Adima. Connor Christopher Alexi. Heidi J. Barrier. Brandon Will Campbell. Dalton Wade Crouch. Nicholas Hunter Novak. John Daniel Sparts. Now the graduates from Automotive Service and Technology, Ryan Davis. Jacob Matthew Evans. Mark William Gerald. Bailey Nicholas Johnson. Tyler Wesley Pagel. Anthony Pomason. James Sinclair Sorensen. Beverly Jean White. Parker Colin Wood. Now the graduates from Automotive Technician and Apprenticeship, Matthew William Kreminski. Now the graduates from Honda Professional Auto Career Training, Lonnie Joe Helbert. Now the graduates from Mopar Career Automotive Program, Jacob Lee Campbell. Stephen Thomas Idle. Michael Waleed Flayful. Martise Duntrell Flowers. Noah Dean Henry. Brent N. Johnson. Thomas Richard Kerner. Matthew Thomas Nelson. Dylan John Stang. Now the graduates from Toyota Technician Education Network. John Robert Erickson. Shir Yang. Now the graduates from Computer Networking Systems. Cole D. Appel. Brandon Tyler Auty. Casimir Artem Bloom. Christopher John Bruno. Connor James Burrows. Christopher H. Cow. Matthew D. Carlson. Ling Chen. Paxton D. Chase. Sean Stephen Curry. Parker Howard Dunn. Bryce L. Fisher. Benjamin Wallace Ford. David Evan Gaines. Corey Alexander Hattie. Austin Christopher Hutner. Paul Helder Januski. Eric Jones. Benjamin Allen LeMay. Alex J. Machi. Joshua D. Magnuson. Nicholas Reed Miller. Yeah, camera. Christopher Hugh Mitchell. Thomas Patrick Quicksell. Jonathan Gage Rands. Nathan Michael Rumsa. Quentin Frederick Smaltz. Benjamin Ellsworth Shop. Ryan Cedarberg. Jesse William Sees. Paul D. Steffens. Jacob Kenneth Wagner. Christopher Stephen Wilson. Samuel Allen Walters. Se Vu Yang. Now the graduates from Computer Networking Technician, Tyler James Beckstrand. Joseph Alan Hernandez Lamas. Jonathan Paul Lestico. Dexter Heath Lewis. Talia Tenze Lewis Marcio. Travis James Olson. Nicholas Henry William Thurneau. J.J. Vernala. Now the graduates from Computer Systems Analysis, Matthew James Anderson. Tu Li Vu. Now the graduates from Web Development, Caleb Garschweiler Hayes. Heather A. House. Benico Longgrath. Rebecca Summers. Erica L. Thiel. Now the graduates from Web Programming and Database Development, Alec Clinton Becklin. Connor Matthew Chamberlain. Edison Victor Duong. Alex Thomas Fuller. Samuel Carl Grausam. Sandra Lynn Hammerland. Levi Z. Cavadas. John Thomas Moynihan. Christian James Saltness. Will James Schultzenberg. Siri Springer. Kathleen Ann Thompson. Now the graduates from Architecture, Drafting, and Design, Eli George Abnett. Robert Daniel Bacon. Adam Thomas Booth. Samantha Lynn Christner. Christopher Allen Eklund. Tyler Joseph Heinenkamp. Jesse Michael Holland. Jacob Allen Larson. Jacob Tyler Larson. Ricky Perez. Nicholas Primchan Ramsing. Martin John Scholl. Nicholas Joseph Scherhammer. Devin Lee Smoter. Now the graduates from Construction Management. Jacob A. Allen. Keith Douglas Trask. Now the graduates from Construction Project Management. Caitlin Ann Anderson. Nicholas Gustafson. Robert Hammond. Daniel William Hanover. Mirza Hadzik. Harry James Johnson. Matthew George Manila. Kyle M. Maginity. Madison Carol Montgomery. Makban Babga Jakenji. Mikado Scott Rono. Jeremy Skolick. Christopher Jordan Starwood. Jacob Scott Strand. Mark Andrew Tully. Kevin L. Weinman. Reed Winston White. Arthur R. Whittabort. Now the graduates from Electrical Construction and Maintenance. Tyler T. Bailey. Chad Joseph Brooks. Kyle A. Burnside. Jonathan Adam Carlson. Tristan Michael DeWitt. Parker Jeffrey Geese. Logan Hakana. Peng He. Tyler Kevin Johnson. Ernest Luckett III. Cole W. Marsh. Jared Merle Oldenburg. Jonathan David Stephen Peter. Trevor K. Schroeder. Cole Joseph Tatzik. Now the graduates from Electrical Construction, Design, and Management. Matthew Richard Christensen. Troy E. Highland. Travis Llewellyn Northway. Brian G. Pevensey. Elijah Reese Poindexter. Henry Cooper Rudolph. Now the graduates from Heating and Air Conditioning Engineering Technology. Aaron Timothy Lum. Luis Carlos Smith. Ian Epsing Swanson. Now the graduates from HVAC Installation and Residential Service. Robert Duvall Carwath III. Tova Grace Penning. Jean W. Swanson. Sean Ray Van Scoik. Now the graduates from HVACR System Servicing. Tyler Anderson. Jessica Eva Hertel. Eric E. Lofka. J. Elliott Nordstrom. Mark Ryan Olette. Henning Clinton Peterson. Jesse Towle. Darren D. Whedon. Now the graduates from Interior Design. Margaret Ellen Ellsworth. Now the graduates from Land Surveying. Daniel Durdell. Now the graduates from Surveying and Civil Engineering. Patrick James Cowell. Francis Omwayo Moranga. Douglas James Poloit.
And now the graduates from Graphic Design. Laura Marie Morris. Benjamin Elliott Narlock. Heidi Rose Nelson. Lindsay Rose Patton. Jamari LaKinsey Sanders. Lenise Sanders. Robert Daniel Whitus. And now the graduates from Pre-Media Technologies. Ashley Lee May. Cecilia Rose Oberg. And now the graduates from Radiologic Technology. Angela R. Anderson. Brittany Leanne Boyd. Brandy Marie Hanich. Justin Joseph Larson. Andrea Reich. Alex Judith Strasser. Brittany Ann Tompkins. Shelby Lynn Widmesliger. And now the graduates from Automated Systems and Robotics. Chad Michael Caddy. Dustin Joseph Foyser. John Francis Guyon III. Ryan Scott Harris. Benjamin Jacob Johnson. Stephen Mitchell. Andrew Ryan Olson. Christopher Ian Penrose. Matthew J. Ringsford. Christopher Allen Ritt. And now, the graduates from Electronics Engineering Technology. Kevin Kedsu Breyer. Matthew A. Herrick. Jeffrey T. Iverson. Leo Hart Jensen. And now, the graduates from Engineering Drafting and Design. Thomas John Anderson. Donald Mark Boyling. Robin Lynn Bry. Jasmine S. Darden. Christopher Corey Eckes. Alexander David Freeman. Zachary Frederick Jude. Alpha Kion. Casey T. Kratich. Brett Ryan Kunkel. Michael C. Mack. Faith Elizabeth Ellen Morse. Drew Douglas Peterson. Julian Alexander Browser. Justin Howard Sloniker. Gabriel John Smith. Jesse James Sullivan. Matthew Welch. And now the graduates from Industrial Controls. Alex David Scott Brownson. Sergey Ivanovich Mikhayer. And now the graduates from Industrial Controls and Robotics. Brett Allen Anderson. Austin Sutto Otto. Blaine Francis Coe. Jacob D. Enoch. Jonathan Jacob Hansen. Odimafo Jerry Wong Sambath. Jessica Marie Hurd. Eric Sosa. Andrew Jared Unger. Adam Wayne Vale. Chao Vang. And now, the graduates from Industrial Engineering Technology. Christopher Allen Bauer. Corey Erickson. Yaya A. Freeman. Tan Ho. Kyle Earl Johnson. Michael A. Kretzu. Kao C. Lee. Momo Gaima. Lee Bak Wen. Tanner Ryan Stearns. Dustin Joseph Sumowski. David Yang. And now, the graduates from Machine Tool Technology. Bryce John Bachman. Joseph Andrew Brodstein. Michael Cerny. John Blackburn Curtin. Paige Ann Fisher. Robert C. Grindle. Michael James Hippler. Ace High. Blake Henry Isaacs. Andrew Earl Johnson. Nathan Michael King. Jacob Henry Clydestad. Samuel Lee Listico. Michael Glenn Nakada. Robert Oscar Nielsen. Patrick S. Schultz. Julian Eggerly Van Doren. Connor David Willis. And now, the graduates from Right Skills Now for Manufacturing. Tobias Lovgan Dryden. Thong Vang. And now, the graduates from Welding and Metal Fabrication. David William Anderson. Jackson Levi Bomber. Madeline M. Boyer. Ross Michael Carlson. Adam John D. Curtins. Tiara Darsel Hill. Shelby Ann Kiltonen. Casey Irene Kromschroeder. The first? Yeah. Chase Avery Sullivan the first. Zachary Allen Zenowiski. And now, the graduates from Welding Technology, Benjamin Joseph Barth. Dylan Stephen Blommer. Elijah Jordan Clipperton. Mason Riley Enger. Connor John Enting. Noah Gabriel Factor. Nicholas James Kelly. Jason Francis Poiter. Caleb Jordan Rosecrans. Jason Timothy Shepard. John Adams Turnbull. And now, the graduates from Bueller Apprenticeship, Customer Service Engineer, Mark Goya. Vlad Laku. Dominic Limke. Alex Pedden. Mackenzie Ritchie. And now, the graduates for Fuller Installation for Residential Carpet, Mark Brown. Taurus Bryant. Darius Claytor. Quincy Dumas.
All right, I'm going to ask the graduating class of 2017 to please rise, and as you do, if you have not already done so, please move the tassel on your cap to the left side to signify your status as a graduate. Congratulations, class of 2017. Okay, grads, before you sit down, this is a very important point in your life, an intersection of a lot of people's work and commitment to help you get to this very special spot. So why don't you turn around, find somebody out there in that auditorium or up on this stage that helped you get to this very special spot, point at them and give them a round of applause. Okay, you may be seated. As a reminder that after I make my concluding remarks, there will be a recessional at the end of the ceremony. Parents and guests, feel free to stay seated, and you'll be able to meet your graduate outside the auditorium right after the recessional. So congratulations, graduates. Today's commencement ceremony marks a great accomplishment and something in which you should take great pride. You've taken a giant step to improve the quality of your life through the immediate jobs and great careers that Dunwoody education makes possible. Bask in the significance of what today represents. Your immediate family and your Dunwoody family, the alumni, the trustees, the faculty and staff, all share your pride and excitement. As this commencement ceremony draws to a close and you celebrate the transition from student to alum, I want to remind you of the challenge I gave to you at orientation. If you think back to that time, a year or two, or maybe 3 or 4 ago, I talked to you about the alumni that came before you and the reputation they created. We often hear from employers the difference that Dunwoody education makes. We have employers say that they always hire Dunwoody graduates first. We have employers tell us their best technicians are Dunwoody graduates, how much they want to hire more Dunwoody graduates. When you tell people that you attended Dunwoody, you'll hear how wonderful the school is, and when I'm out and about and talk about Dunwoody, I hear the same. And all of this is because of Dunwoody's reputation, and it's a reputation that was earned by the alumni. It was earned by the men and women that were in the very position you are today, graduating from Dunwoody. It was earned by the men and women that were in the same position you are today and went out into the workforce and immediately contributed to their companies and help those companies thrive by being the best technicians and the go-to person when things weren't working. It was earned by alumni who worked their way into leadership positions. It was earned by alumni that started their own companies. It was earned by the commitment to excellence, hard work, and discipline that Dunwoody alumni exhibit in every job they complete. The Dunwoody legacy is evident all around our city, from the buildings Dunwoody alumni designed and built, to the companies they've started, to the products they manufacture, to the designs they created, and the projects they've managed. It's humbling and overwhelming to look at the impact that Dunwoody alumni have had and continue to have on our neighborhoods, on our communities, on our state, and on our nation. And now, you carry a responsibility to hold fast to the values that Dunwoody education represents, and to take with you the challenge of perpetuating Dunwoody's great reputation through your actions and accomplishments. After the pomp and circumstance fades away, I want to remind you that your greatest accomplishments lie ahead of you. When I spoke to you at orientation, it was a challenge. Today, it's a charge. A charge that each of you must pick up and carry with urgency as our cities and our states and our regions' workforce desperately need the skills and passion you now possess. A charge the future students of Dunwoody need you to answer because the legacy of Dunwoody is now in your hands. I know you'll live up to this charge because you've been equipped with a Dunwoody education, the same education that the alumni that have gone before you had and what they used as a foundation to create a legacy. You now represent the best Dunwoody has to offer, and your actions and accomplishments will build Dunwoody's reputation for the next generation of Dunwoody students. We all look forward with great anticipation to hearing about all of your future success. Good luck, graduates. Thank you for attending Dunwoody, and welcome to the proud group known as Dunwoody Alumni.